All right, well, I'm trying to figure out what to say after following this, because we were just explained a study that going to strip clubs will send you home horny. And, you know, folks, we're in the strip club business. You know, I mean, again, unfortunately, I'm last, all I can do is repeat what I've heard. This is the greatest business on earth. Now, you know what? Most of us here don't have these $150,000, $200,000 week clubs that we hear about. We all hope to one day have some of those, and sometimes we luck out and we find a good one. But the truth is, what we are, to me, is an expensive movie theater. It's an escape. What Mike just talked about is exactly it. For those of us that run strip joints, we're selling beer and burgers and boobs. It's that simple. That's what we do. It's not more complicated than that. I mean, God bless those of you that have found a niche to be able to cater to a tourist market. I mean, all of us go to these clubs in Vegas and just walk around and stare. Like, how does this work? You know, unfortunately, I don't have to go home and figure that out. But I can tell you that this is the greatest industry. Yes, we're going through a hiccup now. And you know what? A lot of our smaller clubs, we feel these hiccups. We feel the bump that we're having. And if we don't feel it, we have to sit there and listen to our entertainers explain that to us over and over and over again. All right, now, you know, and that's what we do. But you know what? That's our hustle. That's our hustle. Because the truth is, it's a hustle game. That's what we do. We make people feel good for a limited amount of time that we get their attention. You know, two things that I picked up on. Again, I don't have a lot to follow up what they've said, but politicians today are much more willing to take our money. I promise you, if you don't believe me, send a little check and see if it comes back. You know, they're willing to talk to us. They didn't used to be willing to do that. But I promise you, you'll be shocked. Advertising costs have gone down. I have a number of strip clubs throughout the South, basically from up around St. Louis, nothing too close to Mike, all the way down to Atlanta, nothing too close to the Gallardi's. But I can tell you that what I found is advertising venues that we didn't have before, we could take advantage of now. I have billboards in Alabama. Hell, I thought they'd lynch me when I went to Alabama with a strip club. But you know, I got billboards there now. Can't quite convince Mississippi to do that yet, but we're working on it. But they're much more willing to deal with us now. In the past, they wouldn't deal with us. Now, some people sort of rolled their eyes when I made this comment and said I was going to say this. The truth is, the comprehensive zoning laws that have come into effect, that the lawyers, who by the way, 2/3 of this room right now are employees and lawyers that work for all of us. So I want to thank all of you for coming here and appreciate that. But I can tell you, comprehensive zoning laws have made a lot of us in this room very wealthy. Because we're no longer having to deal with bad operators. Now, you know what? I don't like to see any operator go out of business. But there are people out there that make our jobs very difficult. Everybody in here at some point has had a competitor that was cheating. Either letting his girls do too much, or not enough, or having a problem. And you know what? Unfortunately, we have a business that is often driven by the lowest common denominator. We're in showbiz, people. We're in showbiz. But while it's a limited form, you know what? I book features. A lot of people don't book features anymore. You know? I book features. I book features to remind my entertainers that it's showbiz. That it's not about who can grind the longest. Now, God bless them, I'm not standing in the way of anybody doing that, and certainly not I'm collecting my fees for it. But the truth is, that what makes our people come back is that they were entertained, not just somebody wiggled on their lap. And you know, I live by the saying, and a lot of my managers are here because I'm the boss and they knew better than to not make this event. You know, I go all the time. You cannot make a second impression. You know, what we're doing today, if you're the number 1 club in your market, and again, our markets are all over the place. You know, there's big city clubs and there's plenty of small city clubs. And fortunately, I'm in the business of both of them. If you're the number 1 club, you're going to survive. The party atmosphere in clubs that are successful have been around for years. But the truth is, it's getting better now. I can tell you where my clubs operate. I sell more beer than any nightclub. And that's because we live and breathe by that party thing. Now, when you do that, you're going to hear some of your entertainers bitch. You know, I always love when I hear that. Exactly. People nod their head going, yeah, I know. When the entertainers are going to bitch, say, oh, you're bringing in guys without money. And you know what? I go through this discussion all the time. We're training customers. Everybody here remembers the first time they went to a strip club. We're training customers. I've been doing $2 drink nights for 10 years because, granted, I sell a ton of liquor that night. May not make a lot of money. And probably it's not the greatest experience to be sandwiched into a bar that's supposed to hold 200 with 400 people. Please don't tell the fire marshal. But the truth is, they come for that. Then they fall in love and come back. And again, that's the attitude you got to explain with your entertainers. Because you know what? Our entertainers fight us on some of this. And I spend more time negotiating with entertainers. And people make fun of me for doing that. But I promise you can ask my managers. That's what we do. We negotiate all the time. Because we don't have unlimited entertainers. I mean, I've got bars that run 15, 20 girls a night. I got bars that run 100 girls a night. And what do? The 1 or 2 days a month that I'm in every single one of my clubs, I'm negotiating with the entertainers. Which, you know, again, that's a slave to what we do. That's it, and that's a product of the times. But people, think how much real jobs suck. All right, the truth is, we're pretty damn lucky to be doing this for a living. And you know what? We're all going to be back here next year. We're all going to have a different spin on it next year. But I promise you, there isn't one of us that would rather do something else other than this, except for my career as a Chippendales dancer. We'll get to that later. All right, thank you very much.